Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I'm Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of The Stars Too Fondly by Emily Hamilton. This is a book coming out June 11th, 2024 from Harper Voyager. This is a romance. It's a sci-fi with LGBT plus elements. I received this art from NetGalley in exchange for a fair review. A sweet, cute, and entertaining sci-fi romance. The Stars Too Fondly is great if you want a light sapphic love story set in space. So what is it about? So here's the thing. Cleo and her friends really, truly didn't mean to steal this spaceship. They just wanted to know why, 20 years ago, the entire Providence crew vanished without a trace. But then the stupid dark matter engine started on its own. Now these 420-somethings are en route to Proxima Centauri and unable to turn around while being harangued by a hologram that has the face and snide attitude of the ship's missing captain, Billy. Cleo has dreamt of being an astronaut all her life, and Earth is a lost cause at this point, so this should just be one of those blessings in disguise that people talk about. But as the ship travels deeper into space, the laws of physics start twisting. Old mysteries come crawling back to life, and Cleo's initially combative relationship with Billy turns into something deeper and more desperate than either woman was prepared for. This book is like a little ray of sunshine. It's cute, has a slow burn forbidden romance that starts off almost like enemies to lovers, and it's also sapphic. I found it quite cozy with its found family friendships. It has a very queer and diverse cast of characters, which I found quite lovely. This book was quite delightful, though it has its issues. It took me a while to get used to the dialogue, especially as it's very, very colloquial and quite twee, which made the characters, at least to me, feel far younger than they were. This was a bit disappointing because I was excited that the characters were in their late 20s and early 30s, not young adults, but they acted at times even younger, almost like teenagers sometimes. In all honesty, it kind of felt like the book had originally been written as them being like 21, and then the editor said, wait, how would they have these academic credentials and one of them being a captain if they were only 21? So they upped the ages, but didn't bother aging up how the characters acted. Then again, strangely, the characters had interests that felt a bit anachronistic for the 2060s, like 90s movies. Like, do we watch movies from the 50s regularly? Like nowadays? I mean, I like a good classic once in a while, but I'm also very weird. I'd be willing to bet the movie in question was referenced because it's a favorite of the author, which is a typical debut author things to do, and I find it actually quite cute. In the same breath, though, the dialogue did suit the tone of the book and helped you understand the friendship dynamic right away. It just took me like 20% to adapt to it. I didn't hate it, but I did wish they acted their ages a bit more because at times I was like, they just feel so young. I also enjoyed the love story. I'm always one for forbidden romance, though it took a bit to kind of get going as the tension wasn't really there from the start. Eventually it did begin to grow. This delay could also be because one of them was a hologram, but by around the 1/3 mark, I did begin to ship them, and I hoped for a happy resolution. I always loved the Star Trek episodes with this sort of thing, and just like a character in the book says, I too very much enjoy Voyager. But then again, why are they still watching the show in 2060? Like, that would be like watching a show from the 40s today. So, yeah, anyway, I thought the love story aspect was very fun and enjoyable. I much prefer this type of romance subplot to, throw sex and yearning at you from the first 10 pages in. So if that's what you're hoping for, like lots of spicy scenes, you won't get that. You get a very kind of tame, spicy scene near the end. Most of it is kind of like very subtle longing, and I am very into subtle longing. So the love story in this very much worked for me. I also thought the romance was kind of relevant to today because we have this rise in AI programs for design for people to have romances with. I was actually listening to a podcast the other day that talked about how these things are going to impact society potentially and how some of it can be dangerous, not just because of people not leaving their houses, but because of kind of the lack of burden of care or like the one-sidedness of the burden of care from the human to the AI. So, for example, when we're dealing with another human, that we're in a relationship with, whether that's friendship or anything, we're expected to empathize with them and help them through stuff just as they're expected to empathize with us and help us through things. It's a reciprocal relationship. But when it's a human and an AI relationship, the AI takes on all the burden and the human doesn't have to reciprocate care. So that could really cause a kind of problem in the human's capacity to engage with other people if they have this entity that is always there for them and they never have to be there for it. The bigger concern, of course, is how AIs are run by big corporations who want to make money, and they're undoubtedly going to use these AI romances or whatever they are to sell people stuff, and in ways that are not only insidious, but where the AI can learn how to be more and more subtle about it. You know, how like your friends say, oh yeah, I really like this lawnmower, and you're like, oh, that sounds good, I'll buy that lawnmower. The AI could do that stuff too, just like how, you know, Amazon pushes Whole Foods at you because they own Whole Foods, like in ads and things like that. But an AI could work it into conversations in ways that you might not even notice. um Actually, this book doesn't really apply to that because it's a human psyche mapped to an AI. But you know what? I'm just going to leave that whole rant in here anyway because I think it's interesting. I'm actually going to link the podcast below because it was really interesting. If you're interested in AI, and especially like or if you didn't realize that people are having like AI romances, like AI erotic romances online. I didn't realize this until it existed, and I was like, this is so fun. I would not do it though. I'd be one of those people that would like never leave my house. Anyway, but I'll link that below because I think it's really interesting. Okay, anyway, just like this review, the writing in this book, which is what we're talking about here, is a little clunky. I did not mind the point of view swapping at all. That was integral to understanding the hologram's point of view, but there was just some rudimentary writing errors that quite possibly might be resolved in the final printing. One last thing, kind of, this book is barely a sci-fi. The science in this book is heavily cocooned in fantastical elements, so that the end felt less like resolving a quantum predicament than the characters battling a wizard. Had this been a straight-up sci-fi without the romance, I would have railed against this. But because it's a romance first and sci-fi second, it didn't really bother me. I just went with it. I thought a lot of the plot points and devices were kind of silly, but that also felt fit with the tone of the novel. The plot made sense, even if the mechanics around the science felt more like She-Ra and the Princesses of Power than, Star Trek. I love She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Just saying, it has one of my favorite romances in it. This seems like a lot of critique of this book, but truthfully, I really enjoyed this novel. I thought it was a lot of fun. It just has all of these. I just want to point out these things for people going in, because I don't want people going in thinking that this is going to be a hard sci-fi romance or that it's going to be a spicy romance or that etc. I just wanted to kind of like get that out there, because one thing I don't like when I see reviews is people kind of getting really mad about a book for something that is clearly a tonal thing or a genre thing. So I just wanted to point that out. I think this is was a great debut, and I would be totally interested in reading another book by this author in the future. Oh, and if you were wondering about the title, it comes from a poem, The Old Astronomer to His Pupil by Sarah Williams. The full line is, I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night. And I think that's a beautiful line. And yeah, but I'm not going to read the whole poem like I did with Ministry of Time because the poem is quite long. Anyway, thanks for watching, and thank you again to Harper Voyager and Callie for the e-arc. I really appreciated it.